Happy Wife, Happy Life. We're your hosts. I'm Kendahl, Landreth.
And I'm Jordan, Myrick.
And we are two incredibly unqualified,
but deeply in love comedians who are here to help you with all things relationships. And today, we're answering your questions in our Q&A. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Jord.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to do this episode. I always love the Q&As because we get to read so much drama.
I know, which is the deepest, darkest part of us. That's all we want.
I think that's the deepest, darkest part of everyone.
We want the drama. It's why reality TV is so successful.
I also will say, you guys are dumb sometimes.
Oh my God. I would never say that, you guys.
Okay, well, Kendahl thinks she's so special, but she says it when the camera's off. You guys
No,
are sometimes dumb.
I
You guys are sometimes
tried.
dumb. Yes, be honest. Sometimes you guys are being dumb, and I'm glad we're here because you guys sometimes will email us a question, and I'm like, you know this is bad.
You know
you shouldn't be doing this.
No, you're being naughty.
You're not dumb, but you're being dumb.
Yeah, and you already know. And that's why you're sending it in, because you know we're going to feature it, because we're like, there's nothing people want to see more than someone being dumb.
And you need us to tell you, stop.
What's the dumbest thing you've ever done in a relationship?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you on this podcast, Kendahl. I could not even tell you. The dumbest thing I've ever done in a relationship. Wow. Millions and millions of them. I mean, I think the biggest one that I'm the most guilty of is people just being like, goodbye, and me being like, but stay.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of a common one.
Yeah.
I think, man, I'm trying to think of like specifics. I don't know. So many.
Dumb.
Do you have one that comes to the top of your mind?
Well, I have one that I've shared a million times, so I won't share it again. But where it was similarly, someone was like, I'm in love with someone else. And I was like, let's keep dating, please. Which is so stupid. And then just general I think there's this hard thing when you're young and you know someone isn't as into you as you are to them, and you can't stop yourself from pushing it further. You can't keep being like, hello. Do you and it's like,
yes.
You send the fifth text and you're like, this is going to make them feel so much worse. And they're going to be still like not wanting to date you in that way. Once again, this isn't people I'm stalking. These are people I am dating, but they're just not as interested in me as I am them.
Well, I'll say this, not people I'm dating, but when I was in college, there was someone that I had never met or talked to that I thought was cute.
Yeah.
And if my roommates saw them in the dining hall, we lived in the building that the dining hall was in, my roommate would text me and be like, come downstairs. They're in the dining hall.
Yeah.
And so I would go down to the dining hall. I would like put on some makeup real quick, put on a cute outfit, run downstairs to the dining hall, kind of saunter around, grab a submarine sandwich, a fountain soda, go back up to my room. Never approach them. Never speak to them.
Do you think they saw?
Absolutely not. That's deranged.
Yeah.
In what world would they see me and be like, what? Like, I don't know. How often are you really like seeing someone and being like, whoa, I've got to talk to them.
No,
right?
I would do a lot of stuff like that though too. Like I had in acting school, there was a person I knew had an off period that I had a crush on, and I would ask to go to the bathroom a lot during that period so I could kind of walk by, and they were just never there, and I would just like keep kind of like being like, I'm gonna keep walking back and forth from the bathroom to see if they show up.
Right, because that's the dream, right? Like someone sees you and you're so unbelievably sexy and magnetizing that they just have to stop you and be like, I'm so sorry, I don't know you, but I need to know more about you. And you've built this fantasy in your head that like, you don't even have a crush on this person because you do not know them.
Yeah.
But, so I would say like that kind of stuff is probably the dumbest stuff I've done.
Yeah, we've done a lot of dumb stuff. I feel like you and I were very similar, which really helped in our relationship because I feel like you're a little bit older than me. So I felt like by the time that we started dating, you'd kind of been through and healed from where I was kind of at.
Big time.
So you like saw where I was coming from in a way that no one ever really had. But you also were like, Queen, here's how you need to fix it.
Yeah.
And you need to go to therapy. And I was like, okay. So versus you just being like, you're weird.
Well, for better or for worse, I am a fixer. And I truly mean for better or for worse, because I know that sometimes it's annoying.
Sometimes it is. But
I know that. But I know that sometimes it's annoying.
But it's also what I love about you.
But you know what? It might be annoying, but stuff gets fixed.
Well, I think it's like anything. It's like, but our life works because of it. It's like we are very different in that, well, we're very similar in a lot of ways, but we're very different in that way, where I think I'm a little more calm and you're a little more anxious. And I think that we benefit each other, and also we piss each other off with it.
Yeah, and I would argue sometimes you're not calm. Sometimes I would say you're careless.
And what did we say about that word?
Well, this
My
is the
therapist said I should tell you to stop using that word.
Kendahl
And you
doesn't
just keep
like
using that word.
careless because she's like, oh, because of my ADHD, I'm not careless. But this is my thing. Sometimes you are careless.
Well,
like, be for real.
Sometimes everyone's careless.
That's my point, though.
But I think why people with ADHD get irritated is because they've been labeled careless their whole life. Always careless, 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 careless. And it's not true. It's like, why did you forget your homework at home? Because you were careless. No, it's because I went to put my homework in my backpack and then I saw this and I did this and I did this. And my brain is not, and I'm younger and my brain is not as, I don't have as many coping mechanisms because I wasn't medicated for ADHD that I struggle with it. And you're labeled careless so much that you're like, I don't like that word because I have a lot of care. I'm not a careless person. Anytime I forget something, I feel like absolute garbage. Anytime I mess something up because of something, I feel terrible. So I'm not careless. So the word is just kind of like, even if we could find a synonym.
This is my thing. I would never call you a careless person because you're not a careless person. But sometimes you are careless in the same way that sometimes I am anxious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think we have to, I'll use whatever word you want.
Sexy?
See, this is the problem.
But
you're
see,
like,
that
don't
would
say
be
careless,
cute.
but then I say careless, and then you're like, say sexy instead.
But how sweet would that be? Anytime you're trying to say I'm careless, you say sexy. I think that would really create a barrier that would make us both happy.
I think it would create a weird tension because I would be mad at you. And I think it would create a weird kind of psychosexual anger situation that wouldn't be good.
Sign me up.
I don't think it would be good. No, I don't think you're careless at all, but I also think you're very reactionary, if that's a word, to being like, I'm like, you're being careless about this. And you're like, I'm not careless. People with ADHD are not careless. And I'm like, yeah, relax.
Yeah.
Get off the soapbox. I don't think people with ADHD are careless. I don't think you're careless. You are sometimes careless. Like, sometimes you will just do something extremely careless because you don't care. You do not have care for it. You could not care less.
There's things I don't care about that I am careless about. Like,
but sometimes I do care about those things. So I think it's like,
wait, what?
There will be something where I'll be like, hey, can you do this or can you not do this? And then you'll be careless about it.
But I agree. I think there's things too, and that's hurtful. If you care about something and I decided I don't care about it and then I'm careless with it, I get
that's the only time it irritates me.
Yeah, but I just, I get that. So I think I do. But I do, like I was saying, I think I do have defenses about the word carelessness.
You know what? Let me do this. I'll say you're being a huge bitch.
That's fine.
Do you think that's better?
No, because I didn't grow up with anyone calling me that because it was as sweet as pie. So there's not triggering for me. And I want to be clear that I'm not a person who's always like, because I'm ADHD. I just like go to...
You are at home, not publicly, but you are at home.
Well, but I think it's different because I do a lot of work constantly on it, but I'm also in therapy with someone who like specifically works with ADHD. So I learn a lot about ADHD.
I know.
So I'm like, I have a lot of information.
Tips and tricks now. I'm not allowed to be mad at anything in our house.
And that's how I've specifically...
That's how you crafted it? Because I'm like, anything I'm like, hey, sorry, can you make sure that you don't just like eat off a plate and then leave the food covered plate on the couch because the dog's licking all the food off of it and it's been there for 2 days because I've been out of town. And then you're like, leaving plates on the couch is a coping mechanism.
No, I do not. More than anything, I apologize and then like a fun fact. Like I'm just trying to let you in to be like, I went to put this thing away and then I saw Angel's dog food and I remembered we have Angel. So then I went to pet Angel. And then when I was petting Angel, I saw the remote was on the ground. So I went to pet, you know what I mean? And I'm
I understand.
Trying to show you what it's like. It's not
understand.
an excuse. I'm like, it's annoying, but I'm also just like excited to share with you, let you my brain. But I can stop doing that. I'll stop letting you inside. I'll stop telling you what I'm thinking. And I'll just kind of go mute.
Today. Why are you so feisty today?
Turned on. Just kidding.
Horny. I love you. I love you.
I love you too. I do. I am feisty today, huh?
Yeah, you got a little attitude. What's going on?
But it's fun attitude, huh?
It's high energy attitude.
Confident.
You're leaned in. It's very confident. What's going on today? What's going on with you?
No, I'm just enjoying. I told you this. I've been really enjoying this season. I obviously loved season 1 so much. But I've really been having fun with season 2.
It's so much more comfortable.
Yeah, sitting in this chair is nice. I'm not constantly like...
I mean, these chairs were so much more comfortable than the old chairs.
The chair is nice. I feel like we've gotten a good groove. I feel like you and I both have a little more time.
Yes.
So I think we used to come in and just be like, we always had a want for how we wanted to like come into podcast recording. And never not once did we come into podcast recording in that way. Because we were always like, well, we want to really prep beforehand. We want to do this. And we just never had time. So it would be like, we'd come and be like, what are we talking about? What should we talk about? I don't know. What should we talk about? And we have not done that this season. It feels like we've had time to like set up. And even just like, I know you're going to laugh because I'm like, I've done my makeup, which it's like, where is the makeup queen? I know I don't look like I'm wearing makeup, but I am. I'm wearing a little concealer.
It's a no makeup look.
It's a no makeup look. Little concealer, mascara, and I did my eyebrows, and I like blow dried my hair, you guys, like last
Huge.
season.
She doesn't need to do any of it, but
That's sweet.
I'm proud of you for
But
doing
I
it.
just feel like I've tried a little. Like we've both just stepped it up a little bit.
We've had more time this year.
Yeah.
We've crafted it to be that way.
Yeah, so I just feel proud. Like I think most episodes I leave being like, oh, good episode.
Well, to keep those good vibes going, I would like to introduce a new segment.
Oh my God, I don't even know what this is.
Are you ready for our new segment?
Yeah.
This segment is called U-Haul One Night Stand Ghost.
Oh.
It's our version of Marry F Kill. I can never remember how cursing affects YouTube monetization.
Man, I should be thinking about it more. I'm throwing the F word out like
I can never remember.
Constantly.
I think you can say it, but maybe when it's sexual, it's bad. I don't know. But so this is U-Haul, which is marry, One Night Stand, which is bone, or ghost, which is kill. So I want to know, Valentine's Day is coming up.
yeah.
So I want you to U-Haul One Night Stand Ghost these Valentine's Day date ideas.
Great.
U-Haul One Night Stand Ghost, fancy dinner, vacation, cozy night in.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to U-Haul fancy dinner because that's what we're doing for Valentine's Day this year. And I like it. I think it feels special. I feel like restaurants are set up for it. You're surrounded by other couples. Fun. I'm going to ghost vacation because I'm just like, that's too much for Valentine's Day. And it's the time of year. It's just like we just got off the holidays. I don't want to go on a trip right now.
I'm shocked.
I know because I'm a big vacation girl.
You're always trying to go on vacation.
But I am not trying to go on a vacation in February. I feel like February, I'm like, my life is actually together for the first time in a year. I have a schedule. I have a routine. I have all my New Year's resolutions I'm trying to do. Like, I don't want to go on a vacation. Unless you're like, I get if you're like parents who are like, we never get to have alone time and you want to go on a that's different. But if you're just like a regular couple like us, I just feel like that's too much for February. So then I guess that would be that I would, what was it? U-Haul, what was the second one?
One night stand.
One night stand. I would one night stand cozy night in.
Wow.
Because I think it's fun and we've definitely done that before and it's very sweet. But I don't know if I'd want it to be a repeat thing over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I would U-Haul fancy dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I would one night stand vacation.
Okay.
And I would ghost cozy night in.
Yeah.
I love cozy night in, but we do it all the
That's
time.
all we do.
So I don't really care about Valentine's Day in general, but if I have to pick, I think that's what I'm going to say. If you're going to make a deal of Valentine's Day, that's what I think.
And I could see doing, oh, it would be fun as like a staycation. Like I could see us like renting a hotel one year and having like it like an hour away or something.
Yeah, I think that'd be so fun.
Even like in our town, kind of fun.
In our town.
Like maybe we like literally 2 minutes away, we just go stay at a hotel. Like that kind of is fun.
Calling LA a town is very funny to me.
In our little home.
In our town. It's a quiet village.
God, you're so good at singing.
No.
Well, thank you for that segment. We're just loving the segments. How are we feeling about the segments, everyone?
Do we like the segments? Tell us what you think about U-Haul One Night Stand Ghost, okay?
And now we're going to get into our questions. If you are like, what the F? Why can't I ask a question? Well, you can. You can go on our Instagram. We always post our questions there. Or you can email us at hwhlpodquestions@gmail.com. So if we have a specific question for a specific topic, you can send it there. Or if you just have a general long story question you need advice on, please send it over there. And you can also ask questions on our Patreon. We got a lot of fun stuff over there. Every episode, we do a 30-minute mini-sode attached onto that episode that's posted to our Patreon. And it's a hoot and a holler.
It's fun. I love it. Ready?
I'm ready.
How do I tell people at my work I'm married? I'm pretty young, early 20s, and got married right when I started working there. During a casual after-work hangout, my boss expressed some pretty negative views on marriage, and especially to those who get married young. Now it's been almost 2 years, and I haven't told anyone in my department I'm married. I was absent for the last holiday parties, so I couldn't introduce my spouse then. How do I tell them? Should I tell them?
Well, this is hard. It seems like maybe you're not too close with your coworkers.
This is giving me more like, like an office building vibe, unlike what our jobs are.
Sure. So I think it's not a big deal. Stay calm that you didn't say anything. Your boss's opinion, it doesn't really matter. Seems like your boss got married young probably and it didn't go well.
Your boss is having an issue. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
So don't accept the projection of your boss.
Right. And I'm sure he like said that offhanded and like forgot. It's like there's no way that every married person he sees, he's like, ew, that is so embarrassing. Also, I'm assuming it's a he. Did they say he? I'm sorry. Women can be bosses too, and they all should be.
And Kendall's part of the problem.
And I'm part of the problem. But the boss, I'm sure forgot that conversation even happened, and it's not a big deal. It's not like when you tell the boss that you are married, they're gonna be like, "Wait, you lied to me. That's so weird." I think it just probably will not be a big deal. But I would say the wedding ring should probably help a little bit.
The wedding ring, the picture of your wife you have on your desk,
Yeah.
those are things that'll kind of give it away. So I'll say just start putting some stuff out, drop some casual my wife's into the conversation.
My wife and I are headed to dinner tonight.
Yeah. Anybody doing anything this weekend? My wife and I are going to be watching the new Spider-Man movie.
Right. And really, we're giving like a bunch of examples. You only have to really do it once. You don't have to keep repeating.
Yeah, but you can.
But you can if you're really proud.
But you can. How do you know if you're with the right person? I've been with my boyfriend for about 1.5 years now, and I've been questioning things for a little while. He's a great boyfriend to me, but there are a couple things that bother me about him that aren't necessarily the biggest deal, but I could see them causing problems in the long run. But I can't tell if I'm being dramatic or not. I'm just feeling confused about it all.
Oh, I wish I knew what the problems were.
I do too, because I think there are things you have a gut feeling of whether or not you could be with this person long term. So I think that's the first step. If you don't have that gut feeling, I think they got to go.
Well, but what's hard about that, Jord, is I think a lot of people are, have a lot of trauma and have a lot of feelings. And I think...
And commitment issues.
Commitment
I knew
issues
you're
and-
right. And I
and-
knew you were going to say
and-
that. I should have thought about that.
Because I think gut instinct is so hard to separate from just your brain playing tricks on you. And I think the reality, in my opinion, is, and this is an opinion, there is no right person. I think every person you're with, you're gonna have problems with. I think and not big problems. Like we've talked about any problem I have with you, we've talked about in this podcast. It's so small and silly that we can also laugh about it. And same the other way around. So any little annoyance, it will exist in your relationship no matter who you're dating. So I think it's about really like making a checklist of things that you need in a long-term relationship separate from like romantic feelings. It's like you need a kind person, and you can make your own list. But for me, it's like a kind person, a supportive person, someone who can make me laugh, someone who, is there for me when I need it at a drop of a hat. And it's like, if they check all these boxes, I think you got to work through it a little bit, because you're looking for a life partner. You're not looking for someone who always makes you super giddy. And I mean, you make me super giddy, but like, that's not, to me, the top priority.
This is what I'll say, though. If you don't struggle with commitment issues, all those things that Kendahl just said, if you have a gut feeling that it's wrong, it might be wrong.
Yeah.
And if your impulse is to not deal with the things and fix them and make them better, might be a sign. Also, one thing that I'll say that I think is really helpful when you're trying to figure out if a person is right for you or not, Kendahl has literally never once in our entire relationship given me the ick.
Oh.
Ever. Kendahl has never given me the
That's crazy. I almost have a hard time believing that.
ick. Everything you do that would give me the ick if someone else did it doesn't bother me when you do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to really take into account. I feel so differently about Kendahl than I do about anyone else because she's never icked me out. And I know that seems superficial, but I think it's a small, interesting thing I've noticed in that any weird, bizarre, she does stuff that makes me angry. She does stuff that makes me mad, confused, bewildered. But
Shocked.
in terms of just like feeling like, ugh, have never gotten that.
Oh.
And I think it depends on what the problems are with your boyfriend. You didn't list them. But if you're constantly getting the ick from someone you're dating, hard to move past that. And I think maybe you should listen to it, even if it's not like they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, totally. Sometimes there's just incompatibilities too.
Yeah.
Where I think it's like we've talked about this before, but I think what's so nice about me and you is like the way we live our lives and see our lives and the trajectory of what we want for our lives is really similar. And that has nothing to do with us being good at a relationship. It's really just by chance. Because also, like, I don't even know if I was asking you that when we started dating. I think it just, like, we happen to be really similar. So that is really helpful. Like, it's helpful to not have someone who you just completely, like, they're talking about their views on politics or their views on a situation that they saw on the street, or they're talking about, and you're just sitting there, like, fully disagreeing and being like, wow, I don't see the world that way. It's really nice to have a partner that I feel like no matter what, even if, like, I feel like times when there's something that happens in the world that we almost feel a little differently than we usually would feel, we're on the same page about it.
Yes. I also think even if you are someone with commitment issues who's like, I always run away, I can't tell if this is the right person, you're still probably wasting that person's time. I think for yourself, you should figure that out so you can move forward and start having constructive relationships with people. That being said, I still feel like you're kind of wasting that person's time. If you have commitment issues and you're like, I don't know if this is the right person, I'm like, just break up, because you're wasting that person's time.
Well, maybe be like, let me see how I feel in 6 months even. I think it's
I think that's a waste of time. I don't agree with that.
I think it's hard. I just think it's hard because some people really, it is harder to identify things. I think if every person with commitment issues was like, I can identify this is my commitment issue, that would make everything easy. But that's not what issues like that, how they present themselves. They present themselves in the most sneaky ways where it's like your brain convinces you this thing is irritating you, or you convince yourself that this thing isn't going to work. And it feels so real. And that's like what, it's not like most people with commitment issues, they're like, oh, I'm breaking up with you because I don't like committing. Most people in their head are like, I want to commit. I want to do this. But every time I'm with someone for a longer period of time, this thing about them starts bugging me and irritating me and pissing me off. And that is like, then they end up breaking up, and that's how it always manifests. Obviously, it's different for everyone, but I think with that, it's hard to know yourself and give yourself a little bit of time. So we might just disagree on that, but I think like it is tough, but I think it is a little trigger happy to like just break up with someone the moment you feel something negative. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's the moment you feel something negative, but this person seems like they've been dating for a little bit. There's multiple things that annoy them. They're not sure if it's right. They're like, am I being dramatic? I'm like, well, you're not being dramatic. It's the way you feel. But if you keep feeling like there are things that bother you about your boyfriend that you would rather write into a podcast than talk to your boyfriend about them. I think it's something to think about.
First of all, zero judgment for writing into the podcast.
No, I'd prefer it. I love it. But I think there is something I'm like, these issues are bothering you enough that you are seeking outside help and not just being like, hey, Brad, when you do that one thing, kind of bothers me. Can we talk about it?
And I would start with that because I would say too, there's been like, I can only think of like 1 or 2 times, but like something you've been doing, and I'm sure you've had the same with me, where it's like irritating me. And like, I don't even know why. It's just like, that thing is kind of annoying me. Like, it's irritating me. And then we like talk about it. And then your reaction to it makes me like, oh my God, I like didn't think about it like that. Like, of course that's why you do that. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. And like my feelings on it completely change. And so I think these things could build up that you're like, that's just how he is. And then when you talk to him or her about it, or him, I guess, him about it, either you get a new perspective on it that shifts the way you think about it, or he's like, oops, sorry, I'm not going to do that anymore. Sorry about that. I had no idea. And it's like really not that big of a deal. But I also think the reality is if you do break up with him, everything is going to be fine. I know that's like dumb advice, but I am just like, if you're really like, is this the right decision or the wrong decision? I think the one that got away is, unless you like were such an asshole to like Angelina Jolie when you were children and now you're like, God, man, that was so stupid. Like, I guess that's a little bit of the one that got away, but I think that's a mentality that you don't need to like worry about, because it's just like, we date people and at the time it didn't make sense. And maybe you look back and are like, I could have made that better, but then just make it better with someone else. It really is not a big deal. So there will be sadness and heartbreak. And I know this is so much easier said than done. I know this is like, ending a relationship is such a scary thing, but you will be okay no matter what you choose. And even if you look back and are like, that was me running away from security, or that was me this, that's still valuable. You learned that and you'll move into the next thing with that knowledge.
Well, I'll even say that like the concept of the one that got away is like kind of selfish, right? Because it's like they got away from me. And it's like, yes, if you both feel like the other person was the one that got away, get back together. But you might feel like they're the one that got away, but they're perfectly happy with their own life. That should tell you that they're not the one that got away.
Yeah.
They have a good life and you wish you hadn't messed something up, but you did, and now like move on. That's how I feel about it.
Totally.
My amazing partner and I are having our marriage ceremony in May. We got legally married in December for insurance coverage and tax purposes. We have sent the save the dates to family and friends earlier this year, but I have yet to send real invitations. My partner was just perusing Instagram and noticed their cousin's Instagram story was particularly transphobic, and after some digging, we realized she's a liberal TERF, straight white cis woman from Texas. We don't want to have her at our wedding with our trans friends. How should we uninvite her? My partner's mother thinks we should have a conversation with her since we would be inviting almost everyone but her, including her mom, and she doesn't want to start family drama. Should we say something about why she isn't receiving an invitation? How do we even say anything? Help!
Whew. I mean, it's just hard because the reality is, if we were in this situation, I just think you'd probably handle it.
Yes, I would. So that's why I'll help you here today. Kendahl has nothing to say about this because she'd never have to handle it.
I would just be like, I don't even know what. I think I would probably do the rude thing. I mean, it's like, who cares about being rude to a transphobe? Who cares? But I think I would probably do the more rude thing, which is just like not send an invitation to her and then like never say or speak to her ever again.
To be honest, I don't think that's a rude thing though.
Okay.
I think that that's fine. I think if you want to not send her an invitation and not speak to her, you're well within your right. She might then reach out to you and be like, why am I not invited to the wedding? And then I think you should say, oh, after seeing some things you posted, we are not morally aligned. We have lots of trans friends, and I don't feel comfortable having you at our wedding with our trans friends after seeing the things that you've said about trans people. There's nothing wrong with that.
Plus, it doesn't seem like the two of you are that close because you didn't even know. You had to do like social media digging. So I feel like if they reach out to you and are like, why didn't you invite me to your wedding? It's like, no matter what you say, it doesn't really matter because you guys aren't that close anyways.
Yes. You also don't want to maintain a relationship with this person. Sounds like you barely have a relationship with this person. And also, it's not like a legal right for them to be invited to your wedding. Like, who cares? And if they hate trans people so much, they shouldn't want to go to a wedding with trans people there. So don't come. That's how I feel about it. I think that a lot of those types of people are very like, I hate this and these are my feelings, da-da-da. But then they're like, a party? But I want to be invited to the party. And I'm like, well, the party's the antithesis of everything that you stand for. So why would you want to come to this party? And it's like, well, I don't feel that seriously about it. I want to come to a party. Like, I think that's kind of the vibe. And I'm like, if you tell her a lot of our friends are trans, they will be at our wedding, I don't feel like it's a good idea to have you there because I don't feel comfortable with you being around our trans friends because of what you say about trans people. And they're like, well, I don't dislike trans people. I'd be like, then you're unwell. The stuff you're posting is so bizarre and that makes me want you not there even more. But it doesn't have to be a long conversation.
And I don't think you owe her anything. I don't think you owe her any conversation.
Yeah.
I'm also just like, this is the problem with people like this, is it's like, I think she probably posts these transphobic things, and there's a lot of assumptions in the statement I'm about to make. I don't know this woman, but she probably posts these transphobic things, and she probably knows not a single trans person.
Probably
and
almost never thinks about trans people.
And that's what all of this is so, like, when you look up the statistics of what percentage in every state is trans, people are alarmed to find it's, like, less than 1%,
like
far
nobody.
less than 1%.
Yeah.
And it's just used, trans people are used as a pawn in this political game. And so I think she posts these terrible things about trans people and does not even think about the fact that anyone she knows has a relationship with a trans person, has no thought about. It's just like me posting that, like, I hate dragons almost, because to them it's just not, is not a real thing in real life. And I think it would be, you know, and once again, you don't owe her this, but a good wake-up call to be like, when you post those things, people who have loved ones who are trans people see that. Trans people see that. They exist, and they are here, and they are real. And
you don't know every single person who's a trans person.
And you probably don't know anyone who's trans, so the fact that you feel the need to post and even give it any time of your day and vote for a candidate because you are so scared of trans people, it's just ridiculous.
I think it's so funny because Kendahl and I are going viral on conservative Instagram right now with a clip from this podcast where I make a joke about conservatives and say that they're bad people and then talk about boat ownership. And it's really stupid when you say it like that. But so many of the comments are like, I thought liberals were the party of love and acceptance. Oh, why can't we all just get along? Why can't we have friends with differing viewpoints? And this is probably preaching to the choir because if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you feel the same way. But if you don't feel this way, I implore you to think about this. having different opinions is, I think Modest Mouse is a good band and you don't. That's having different opinions, right? Like, that's a different opinion. Me thinking that McDonald's doesn't taste good and you loving McDonald's, that's a taste-based difference of opinions. If you think that trans people should not exist, if you think gay people should not have rights, if you think immigrants don't deserve to be treated fairly, if you think that people with diabetes don't deserve medicine, like, that's not a difference of opinion. Yeah. Something is wrong with you. So I think that's a really important thing to remember.
Well, because we have friends with differing political views, because we have friends, I mean, it's not that I know that we are in a two-party system, but it's not that everyone in each party 100% agrees with each other. Like, we've had debates with people who we're friends with who agree with everything, like, with us on everything you just said, but in terms of a certain event that happened or a certain this, that we are kind of like, oh, I think it's more like this, or I think I would, if I was in that position, I would probably choose it. You know, we have little, but I could not be, right, I don't need to be friends with someone who doesn't think I should be able to get married.
Why do you want to be friends with someone who is not morally aligned with you? And I'm happy to admit there are tons of things I don't know about. I have absolutely no clue what a farmer needs. So I understand me having a discussion with a farmer about what a farmer needs when I don't know that. I'd be happy to be educated on that. I don't need to have a conversation or a friendship with someone who's like, I hate gay people and don't think they should have rights, and vote for political figures who are anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-immigration, all these things. I'm like, yes, having a difference of opinion, that's having a huge gap in your moral system. And if your cousin is that morally opposed to trans people, she should not want to be at your wedding. Just like I would not go to the wedding of someone I know is transphobic.
Right.
But I think a lot of these people have a lot of feelings about things that don't affect them at all. So they're like, why can't we all just love each other? But why can't we put politics aside?
That's my point, is that I feel like, could be like, when people are like, it's just politics, let's put politics aside. It's like, now you're seeing why. Because you want to come to my wedding now, and I have trans people. They're not just an idea that exists on Fox News to scare people. I have friends who are trans, and that is why politics is not, let's put politics aside. It is, your life is politics.
Man, we're really on one right now.
But you know what I mean? It's
yes,
like,
of course.
Now you have to come to an event where we're not all just white, straight, cis people, where it's easy to put politics aside. You now are at an event where there are people that are affected by these decisions. That's why you cannot, it's ridiculous. It's just so,
okay, we popped off. Let's just end by returning to the question, which is, the only thing I could see her think is like, are you going to let something like this? Are you going to let politics come in between us? And I think, don't let her gaslight you like that if she tries to do that. Return to the reality of the situation, which is, tell her, it would make my transgender friends to have someone come to this wedding that hates transgender people. That makes me uncomfortable. That would make my friends uncomfortable. That's the reality of the situation. You have made me feel uncomfortable. So I do not want you at my wedding. And that's all you need to say.
Right.
Okay. Amen to that. My friend recently told our friend group about a guy she's been seeing for the past 5 months. She's 23 and he is 36. He is separated, not divorced, from his wife, which they share 4 kids together, and the oldest is 16. She told us they have not gone on an actual date since being together, and they only have sex in his car because he still lives with his wife and kids while she lives with her parents, and she is moving to Missouri from Pennsylvania to start school soon. She keeps saying that he is looking into jobs there so they don't have to be long distance. The rest of our friends are supportive, and I bravely said that everything about this relationship sounds awful and unrealistic. Everyone is saying I'm a hater and jealous of their relationship. Be honest with me. Am I a hater or am I just a concerned friend?
No, you're not a hater. I mean, the reality is you don't have to jump in front of the train and put this to a stop. that she's going to do what she's going to do.
Yes, and she's made that clear.
And she's fine. I mean, she's fine. She's fine. Like, she's in a relationship she's going to look back on 10 years later and be like, oh boy, yikes.
Yes.
Or she'll be married with a bunch of kids with him. I don't really know. But I have a feeling that's not going to happen. So you can have your thoughts and share them in a nice way, but don't feel like the pressure to be like, I am in charge of making sure she doesn't go through with this, because you just ultimately don't have any control. I think there's so many funny things about this. It's like,
hey, I'll tell you right now, huge red flag. If you're dating someone that can only have sex with you in their car, unless they're doing #van life, it's not a good sign.
That's a red flag in itself.
It's true. It's not a good sign. Why can you only have sex in your car? Why, as a 36-year-old man, are you having sex in your car?
But I also think, can I say?
You can.
I think a red flag on your friend's part.
Of course.
That I think, well, and I'll say, I think the red flag to me, if I met someone and I like fell in love with them and they had 3 kids or 4 kids or however many kids that they have, I would never ask them to or want them to move to where I am away from their children. Maybe that's a hot take. Maybe that's wrong. But that's what I feel. I would feel so guilty for my own selfish, reasons of being like, I want to be closer to my boyfriend. You've been dating for 5 months and you want him to move away from his children? This is their father. And obviously he's got a lot going on. And obviously I'm sure he's not perfect, but he's their father. And unless, we don't know him, so maybe he's absolutely the worst and they're better off with him living in another state. But either way, I would feel like that is so not, of course, a red flag on his part that he's even talking about agreeing to it. But I would be like, the fact that you're even thinking about moving away from your kids is giving me the ick, because you're clearly a bad father. And you should not move. The age thing doesn't really freak me out that much, but I also think it's like,
I think combined with everything else, it feels
weird. I think they're in such different places. I think if like you're 23 or 24 and you meet a 36-year-old and you guys are working at the same job and you both are kind of in the same place.
You both just came out of the closet recently. I think like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. Like sometimes I'll see like age gap couples to a certain extent where I'm like, oh, you both just came out of the closet. And it feels like they're very much on the same playing field, rather than like, I'm like, you are a young person who's about to start graduate school, it seems like, and he is a father of 4 going through a separation, not a divorce, a separation. I don't have enough experience with this, so please feel free to educate me in the comments. If you're separated but not getting a divorce, what is that? To me, in my mind, I'm like, if you're separated but you're not getting a divorce, it seems like maybe there's hope of reconciling or something. That could be wrong. I don't know. But I'm like, this man's not even divorced, and it doesn't seem like he's pursuing a divorce.
Right. I mean, you're right. The advice is, I have to remember, the advice is from the friend who already thinks that this is an insane situation.
It's true. So the friend could be biased.
We agree. No, I'm saying the advice is just we agree with you.
Oh, yeah. But I'm like, I understand, like, we're not getting the situation from the people who are actually in it. Right. So obviously, as always, this podcast has some bias. Duh. But I think, like, no, you're not being a hater. I would say your piece, but then you're one and done. Like, You do not need to go on. You can tell her, hey, I don't want to really talk to you about this. I think this situation's weird. And what I have to say about it, you're not going to like, and nip it in the bud. But constantly rehashing it with her, constantly giving her advice about it, she knows this is not a good situation. Right. She knows that. Everybody knows that. If all your friends think it's great, they're either lying or maybe they have bad taste, or maybe you're not being 100% truthful. Maybe there's something we're missing here. If everyone thinks that's great and you don't, I think it's hard to tell. But from reading what you've sent me here, you could just let her do it. There's no secret. Yeah. There's no secrets. It sounds like to me this man is still fully married. I'm sorry. Do we know if he's actually separated? That's what I need to know.
Well, he's definitely married, but separation's not married. But I think
no. But they've never been on a date. They can only have sex in his car. He still lives with his wife.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Are they separated? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not there. I personally would say, that's what I would say. I would say,
I mean, it's not going to end in wedding bells. That's what I'll tell you. And if it does, listen, I would not skip out on that wedding because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of fun stories from that wedding.
Yeah.
So just try to, if you've said your piece, just enjoy watching the train wreck.
Just enjoy watching the train wreck. My spouse and I dated the same girl in high school.
Oh, that's funny.
Her and I aren't close, but we are friends. My spouse has already tried to keep in touch with her amicably, but she never replies to his messages. We're having a 5-year vow renewal in May, and she and her fiance are both invited. Suggestions, tips, general thoughts on the situation? I'll give you my first thought. Why are these people invited to your vow renewal? A girl you both dated in high school that you're not that close with who won't speak to your husband? Why are they invited to your vow renewal?
Yeah, that's the part that I got a little confused by. So the ex-girlfriend does not respond to the texts. That's what I'm a little confused by. Or the DMs.
Yeah. I guess so.
Bizarre. Interesting. Well, I mean, oh God, I feel like I need to see the DMs. This is...
Well, but how? No. We have to start at the beginning. How did they even get invited? How did they get invited to your vow renewal? Are 9,000 people coming to your vow renewal?
Some people go big with it.
But still, this seems like a wild person to invite to your vow renewal.
I don't know. I have no... That's a funny situation. I don't know. I really... This is the first time on the show. I kind of at a loss. I'm like, I have no idea. They are not so unnecessary for them to be at the vow renewal. What is the question asker's question, though?
Suggestions, tips, general thoughts on the situation.
My
situational thoughts are, how did this even happen? How did you get yourself into this situation? Also, I need more context because the one thing I maybe could potentially see, it sounds like you're bisexual and the girl you dated in high school is bisexual. It seems like you're married to... Well, I don't know. It says my spouse.
Or
I don't know.
Or the person's gay now, but they just had a boyfriend in high school.
Maybe. I am so deeply confused.
For the first time in my life, I need you to send a follow-up, and we will answer it in a future episode.
I gotta know more. I'm gonna look this up to see if there even is more, because I am so...
I thought I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna Google see if there's any news stories on this.
I'm just so confused. I guess, hold on.
It's just like one of those, I kind of understand what's happening, but I have so many more questions. I feel like I cannot give proper advice.
Maybe there was more context to this that I missed. If I did, send us another email.
Please.
Because I have to know more. The only thing I could think of, and I don't know if this is how these people are gendered because I don't have the information. The only thing I could see is if you are a bisexual woman and she is a bisexual woman and your spouse is a man and her spouse is a man, and maybe her spouse is like, I don't feel comfortable with you interacting with that man you used to date, because sometimes people can be weird about like, oh, yeah, you can talk to that girl you dated if you're a girl, but you can't talk to a guy you dated if he's a guy because I'm also a guy. I literally am making up fictional
That's what I'm just like,
possibilities of what this could be.
Thank you so much for your question, but we simply need more information, and I'm so sorry, but I'm also excited for your follow-up email.
Yeah, this is what I'll say. If she never responds to your spouse's messages, but you're her friend and you really want to know, just ask her. Be like, Michael has like emailed you and you've never responded. What's up with that?
Yeah.
I would literally never hesitate to ask one of my friends a question. Or you're not actually friends with her. Then why is she invited to your vow renewal?
Well, a vow renewal is hilarious because I'm like, that feels like there's no one there. I've seen vow renewals, I thought was just the two of you.
I am truly at a loss for the first time in this podcast. I do not understand. I have no clue what's going on.
I know.
Wow. Wild to end on such a bonkers one.
Sorry, we were just absolutely terrified.
I simply don't know what's going on. Don't invite anyone you're not really friends with to your vow renewal. I guess I'll walk away from this episode saying that.
A vow renewal should be the two of you and an Elvis impersonator.
Amen to that, sister.
Thank you so much for watching. If you're on Spotify or you're on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to give us a rate and a review. It helps us so much. Or,
Also, a new thing that I didn't even realize on Spotify, make sure you're following this podcast.
There we go.
I didn't even realize that was a thing, but apparently it's important. So make sure you're rating and you're reviewing and you're listening, but you're also following.
And you're also hearing. And you're also loving.
And you're thinking.
And you're changing.
And you're expressing yourself.
And we love you so much. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And just because I'm a proud fiance, make sure to go subscribe to Jordan's YouTube channel too,
Kendahl,
because they are making hilarious content right now. It's awesome. They're making really cool content.
Kendahl, you stop. I love you so much.
I love you too. And what else are we freaking on? Any social media platform we're on.
Yeah.
Follow us at HWHL Podcast. We love you so much.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Goodbye.